Remember yesterday the NFA crisis snowballed in Warri. There was a congress, but then we are still looking at the structure of Nigerian football. So today we are going back. We are going back to Port Harcourt. We are going back to the man who won the Nations Cup for Nigeria. We are going back to the man who played the game to the highest level and studied and took law to the highest level as the Attorney General of Rivers State, Chief Adokiye Amezemika. Hello, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We are back with you again today, sir.
Oh dear, well, same old story, I guess.
Okay. For the benefit of our viewers, and what does the NFA Act 2004? What is it all about?
Well, the NFA Act 2004 metamorphosed from that infamous Decree 101 of 1992, you recall, and I won't talk about it now, we'll talk about the Act, because as I said, in the civilian dispensation, you talk about Act and not Decree. Now, that law simply makes football administration a government affair. Number one, it says the sports minister, that's section 9 thereof, says the sports minister, and I'm paraphrasing, has authority to control and direct the board of the NFA. By the way, it's the Nigeria Football Association, not Nigeria Football Federation. That's what the law of the land says. It says the minister has authority to control and direct the board of the NFA. And the board of the NFA has no choice but to comply. In other words, it is actually the sports minister, whoever he is. We're not talking about any particular individual. It's actually the sports minister who, in our law, has control of football administration. And that is exactly what FIFA does not want. That is exactly what FIFA does not want. Now, it goes on to say, the Act goes on to say that the NFA is a corporate body, it can sue and be sued in a court of law. That is also exactly what FIFA does not want. There are other issues, but these two issues are so explicit, and they are so contrary to what FIFA wants that it takes my imagination that we keep on over and over again going through the same process without realizing that all it takes is to appropriately amend the NFA Act 2004. And that is, if we must subject football administration to our laws. There's also another issue that we must point out. You see, the NFA Act is an act of the National Assembly. It is superior to any other law from any other part of the world that is to operate in this country.
Okay, Chief Adokiye.
Yes.
By 2013, as at March last year, the second reading of the bill to repeal the NFA Act 2004 and have the NFF Act 2013 pass the second reading. How long does it take, for this thing to process so that we can move away from the Act and move into the Federation?
It is as long as we want it to take. It's as simple as that. I tell you, if government wants something done in a jiffy, it will be done in a jiffy. Look, that proposed amendment has been there before the National Assembly for about 10 years now. 10 years. It just shows lack of seriousness on the part of government. And by the way, just changing from NFA Act to NFF Act is not the solution. It is the content. It is the content of that document that matters. We must make it clear. I've said it so many times that one is sounding like a broken LP. It's so boring. Look, we must make it clear. Look, how does FIFA operate in Switzerland? How does the Swiss FA itself operate in Switzerland? Why don't you take a cue from what happens elsewhere? How does the German Football Association operate? How does the English FA function? Why don't we ever hear of problems between these bodies and FIFA? Why can't we? Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. You just find out how others, more reasonable, more sensible, sorry to say that, more reasonable, more sensible people operate it's so embarrassing. It's becoming annoying. The point is, FIFA says if you want to play international football, you have to be affiliated affiliated to FIFA. Number one, you now apply to join FIFA. FIFA does not force anybody to be affiliated to it. You now apply to join FIFA. FIFA says, okay, no problem. If you want to be part of this international body, then football administration in your country, in fact, FIFA relates to national associations, not political governments. If you want to be part of this international football playing body, then you must subject yourself to the statutes as approved by FIFA. We said, yes, that's what we did in 1960 when we joined FIFA. All of a sudden, in 1992, we decided to make football administration a government affair. Did you know FIFA gives money, annual grants for development, for upkeep, all sorts of things to each national association? Where does that money go? Why do we have to give money to this so-called NFA, which even the court of the land has declared to be an illegal body? Why do we give money to that body? Money that we are not to ask them to account for? And if FIFA does not say don't request them to account for money, you can give money for specifics and let them account for those specifics. But why are we not doing that? Has any NFA or NFS board member been prosecuted to logical conclusion in any court? They just make noise, and at the end of the day, they know what they're doing there. They know what they're doing there. Now, going back to the issue, it's not the change of name from NFA Act to NFS Act that matters. It matters in the sense of the technicality of it, because the law of the land says it's NFA for now. But we don't want to make it NFA. We don't have to look at the context. Number one, let us allow football administration in this country to be governed under FIFA-approved statutes. That is number one. Number two, let us set up a court of arbitration for sports. You can call it any name that will look into sports-related disputes. That's another reason why people are running to regular courts every now and then. Let us set up an alternative to that. And IOC accepts that. FIFA itself accepts that. Let us set up such a body that will, an independent body that will look into sports-related disputes, not only concerning the football sector, sports generally. So if you have any problem with the Football Federation, if you have any problem, whether it's internal or external, take that problem to this independent body as long as it is sports-related body. Let me also make this point. In Switzerland, FIFA is subject to the jurisdiction of CAS on sports-related disputes. The Swiss FA is subject to the jurisdiction of CAS on sports-related disputes. But CAS itself is subject to the Swiss judicial system on specific matters. And what are these matters? 1, jurisdiction. 2, fair hearings. And 3, public policy. But the process allowed this independent dispute resolution body called CAS to look into sports-related disputes. We don't have such structure here. We don't. That is why people run to regular courts, and the few that can afford it go all the way to Switzerland. And how many can afford that? That's another thing too. To tell you that these fellows are just clowning around and making a fool of us. The same fellows are recently trying to just seek that injunction and got that injunction, and the same fellows who in the last, let's say some 4 or 5 months ago, before this crisis actually came to the fore, who would tell you that, no, you cannot go to regular courts, you cannot take the matters concerning so-called football family to regular courts. There are the same persons now who are now going to regular courts, and you cannot force them because the law allows it. Don't you see it? But they are taking an undue advantage of the fact that we still have such a law in place. And so long as that law subsists, you really cannot force anybody that you do it. So it now behoves government. It behoves government to appropriately amend that law. Allow football in Nigeria to be governed under the FIFA-approved statutes. Set up an alternative dispute resolution body that will look into sports-related disputes. If you're going to give money to the football governing body, give such money for specifics, and it should be development-oriented. Development-oriented, and get them to account for such specific disbursements. You don't want to give money to NFA, say you give them monthly